Hi guys, and welcome to Reality with Tea. I have one of these cool cups that my fiance made me that when you put in hot water, the pictures come up, but before you put the hot water in, it's all black, so it's pretty cool. He got one for me and my daughter, so she was really excited about it. I thought I had mine, but this is hers, so she might be a little bit upset at me. But I'm drinking Sleepy Time tea with echinacea, I believe. And it has like a minty flavor, which I'm usually not into. I don't really like to drink anybody's minty anything. But whatever, I put some honey and lemon and hopefully that'll kind of mask the taste because I ran out of my tea bag. So this is like the last one that I have. But either way, like, comment, subscribe. Before you get started, just click that like button. We're trying to get my likes up. We're trying to get my subscribers up. We're trying to get my views up. So share with your friends. Tell them to listen to me on mute if they want to. I'm just trying to get some more likes and everything. I'm trying to see if I can make this thing work. So thank you for your support. All right, so let me talk about Chris and Paige. Okay, so this is just a Chris and Paige one because I'm hoping that this is the wrap up of their shenanigans and all of the drama that we have surrounding them, right? Because they have taken up a lot of our time, and it seems like we don't ever get to the other couples because we're so worried about Chris and his janky self. All right. So we start out this episode, right, with Chris meeting with his pastor. Remember his good-looking pastor who he respected so much. And remember, Chris used to be a pastor, used to want to be a pastor. And so this is the guy that he's like, his best friend, closely aligned to. He takes his advice as his mentor. So, he walks in and it's so funny because the pastor and another friend of his, they're like, oh, you look like a married man, the whole thing. I'm like, oh, man, this is going to go bad, right? And the first thing he says, and he always looks so confused when he's talking, he tells them that he asked for a divorce. He felt that he wasn't attracted to Paige, right? And so he thought that he's telling him that he consummated the marriage, he was intimate with her, and he thought that that would kind of like magically make something happen that wasn't there. Like it would magically make him attracted to him, and then that didn't make him attracted to her, and that didn't happen. And then he discussed the baby mama issue, how his ex is pregnant. So the pastor immediately said, you have to learn commitment. You don't understand commitment. He said, this child, even if it is yours, is going to be fine regardless. You're going to be in his life regardless. You're still the dad. It doesn't mean you have to be with this ex, right? So I was already from jump like, okay, so he does have people around him that try to hold him accountable. Now the question is, how is he going to react to it? And is he going to listen to it, right? So they immediately cut straight into him. You know what I mean? So the pastor basically, they use some nice, hard-hitting, direct words, right? This direct adjectives that are accurate and describe him, and something that I knew he wasn't going to like, but I was glad that they used them because they're truthful. They said it is selfish, embarrassing, premature, and immature for you to make the decision to divorce Paige because you feel like there was initially no attraction to her. They talk about Paige being a diamond, the type of woman that you need to be with. She has her head on straight. She's a good woman. She would, basically she would do what she needed to do for you. You know what I mean? You guys would work out well together. She is what you need in your life. But instead, with this decision that you're making, you need to not do it in haste. You need to relax and think about it, right? And they said to him, you need marriage. So basically they know more about Chris than we know, right? And they know that whatever path he was on or whatever he was doing, he wasn't right. And they kind of thought that Paige would be a good way for him to straighten himself out. But he's letting them know that, basically he's trying to get out of that, even though it's only been, a week or two, right? So, the other friend, they tell him, listen, you need to stay in this, see where it goes. You didn't even let it grow yet before you started making this fast, hasty decision to get out of the marriage. You didn't even try it. You didn't even stick it out yet, And then they said, which I think nobody really talked about so much, but it was a good point. They said, you have to consider her feelings, what you're doing now is going to hurt and embarrass everybody involved. You're going to hurt her feelings. You're embarrassing her. You're embarrassing your family. You're embarrassing her family. Think about everybody involved that this decision is going to affect. And I said, that's a good point too, because he is very selfish and self-centered, and he has only thought about himself this entire time. The way he has dragged her through the mud the entire time on this emotional roller coaster, has been horrendous, and he has never once thought about how she might have felt in this, right? Or even the ex that he put through this. We never even got to hear about that, but we'll hear about that a little bit later, right? So now at this point, he says, I'm done with this conversation. I'm done. I'm really, really done. You know, I'm leaving, type of thing. And then this is when we really see again, he really cannot take the heat. There is no accountability taken for any of his actions, any of his behaviors. He cannot hear it. He can't take it from somebody he says he respects, somebody that he loves, his best friend, his pastoral mentor, whatever it is. He cannot take any type of criticism about himself, even if it's constructive, because they were not disrespectful, but they did seem disappointed in him, you know, and he couldn't take that because he can't accept himself ever being wrong in a situation, right? Or not looking like the best version of what he thinks is of himself, right? So I was also interested in the fact that he also said, the pastor said, if the baby is yours. He didn't get mad. He didn't say anything about it. But remember when Virginia said it, that's when he almost flew off the handle. Of course it's mine. Because think about it. Why he's offended more? Because it's like, my ex wouldn't be with anybody else. My ex wouldn't disrespect me. My ex is hung up on me. She wouldn't get pregnant by anybody else. That's why he was so offended by it. Because remember, he still wants the ex. So now we see a little bit later, Chris calls Paige talking about can they have a conversation with her and the ex-fiance to clear the air. And I have in big quotes, I mean, in the big letters here, why? Question mark, question mark, question mark, why? Paige and the ex do not have any bad blood. There's no air they need to clear. The air that needs to be cleared is between you and Paige and you and your ex. Why are you trying to make this a whole big love triangle thing when they've never even been in contact with each other? They've both been drugged through the mud in their own right and in two separate situations. So I didn't even understand what was the point of this, right? And Paige never had a problem with the girl. She has a problem with you and your behavior. So, you know, I'm just thinking like, just about this whole situation, you know, how is all this really, really going to affect Paige? You're so adamant that after 5 days, a week, or whatever it is, that you need to have a divorce from her because you're so unattracted to her. And what I think more about is how when she looks at this and everything that is said about her when she is not on camera, oh my God, how is she really going to feel? Like that has got to feel awful. You know what I mean? And so I just was having thinking about this the whole time, like all this whole hoopla because a man is so unattracted to you. That is, and already somebody who I feel has a pretty low self-esteem, low self-worth. This isn't going to help at all. This is going to send her hopefully a place that she isn't there for long. But I'm just thinking that this has got to be a horrible feeling. So now we have a meeting with the ex and Chris, and I'm still trying to figure out, this is something that production, you know, drew up because remember, this is getting all love and hip hop-ish. I'm not into this storyline. I don't even think that this needed to ever happen, but whatever, it's happening and it's good TV. This was a very good episode, right? So, you know, Paige decides, she says she was going to pray on it. And she decides that she will meet with them because she wants to take her power back, which I didn't understand how her having this conversation with the ex and with Chris was going to get her power back. But somehow she said that this was her way of taking her power back, right? And so she says she wants to know where her mind is. Is that what I wrote? She wants to know where her mind is at, I guess, the ex. So when they come in, they're dressed up and sitting on the couch together, Chris and Mercedes. Mercedes is the ex's name. And Paige initially says, she says, oh, you guys look jazzy. Paige is saying some things that are like Little Black Book said, they could be kind of snarky, not too much, but just like, I see you. You know what I mean? So she's like, you guys look jazzy. And they did look jazzy. Like, it was weird that Chris was dressed with like a suit jacket on or blazer, whatever. I don't know the difference. And, she was Mercedes came, you know, she was ready to, she had to make her statement because this was her one time on TV and she was going to make it known that she looks good and she does look good. She's a pretty girl, the long hair, the whole thing, but she has the attitude like, and this is going to be judgy and it probably is judgy, but those girls that I usually don't like because I feel like they don't like me. One of those kind of bougie type of girls that feel like I am so educated or I make this much money or I dress or look this way and other people are kind of like below me. I feel like when I meet those kind of girls, they look at me as like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Oh, you're in the service field, you know? Oh, you're a school psychologist. Oh, okay, because I'm in finance. That's what I get from her. And it ties so much into the personality that Chris is, because her whole look, I can see that's his ideal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she almost fits all of those boxes that is supposedly the, you know, the typical beauty that we look for. That's what everybody's looking for. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, I don't know if he's a colorist, but I'm just saying like the skin tone, the long flowy hair, the slim build, the ability to dress herself up to the nines and be this way. I don't know how deep, he just doesn't seem deep to me. He seems very shallow. So I don't know how deep they were in this relationship. She seems to know him pretty well to an extent. But it seems like it was a show type thing, because I remember they got married or they got engaged very quickly from what I understand. And it just seems like he would go for her because it's like, this is what I should be going for. This is going to look good. We're both going to look good together. I have all this money. She's going to look good on my arm. Not that she's a trophy. She probably is a trophy wife, because remember, he said before in the past, he's always gone for trophy wives, and Paige is what he needed. I'm not saying she's not smart or doesn't have education. I don't know, but it seems like it's more for the look of it than there is actually a deeper connection between those two. And that's what Chris is going for across the board, how something looks. Remember, he doesn't ever want to look bad. He doesn't ever want to look wrong. He wants to, it's a manly thing for him to have babies and to get married and the whole thing. So he's trying to live up to some kind of standard. Oh, I got something in my eye. I'm sorry. That whoever set for him, or if he's ever going to get there, we don't know. But it seems like she completes that look for him. But it seems like she's not, like, I don't know. I think maybe she's done dealing with his butt too. So, you know, they're dressed up, and then Paige already from the beginning says I think she has a production. She's kind of skeptical of the pregnancy. She was like, I've never seen a sonogram. I've never seen a pregnancy test. We don't even know if this baby really exists. All I know is that we're hearing that she's 7 weeks pregnant, right? But she says that there's no proof of it, which there isn't. And I believe at one point when they sat down, Paige asked her how she's feeling. And, you know, the girl said, okay. She said, how far along are you? And she was like, oh, around 7 weeks. So it was just weird that, and it sucks because from what I understand, the girl is not pregnant now. We don't know what really happened. Was there ever a baby? Did she miscarry? Whatever. But when you are letting the entire world know so early in a pregnancy that you're pregnant, like, I don't even know if she meant to even be pulled into this, right? Because she had a conversation with him. Okay, I'm pregnant. It seems like she didn't know he was even on the show. So now the entire world knows you're pregnant. And then for you to have to go through some sort of a miscarriage or whatever it was she might have gone through has to be devastating when she didn't even ask to be put in this. Okay. But either way, you know, Paige and the girl, they kind of, you know, exchange, you know, a few things. The girls seem to have like that little, like a fidgety, like attitude type of thing. Like, you know, when you start to get fidgety, like, okay, I don't even want to be here. I'm kind of over the situation type of a thing. And she kind of calmed down. Because Paige was kind of saying stuff to her, like, you know, I feel like I was robbed of this situation. Kind of like, I'm the innocent one here. I feel like I was robbed of the experience. I didn't know I was going to be hooked up with somebody. She's finally like letting it out. I didn't know I was going to be hooked up with somebody who's going to put me on an emotional roller coaster. One moment you're saying that you might fall in love with me. The other moment you're intimate with me. Then you're saying that you're going to get back with your ex and you want to divorce me. So I don't ever know what to feel. And I didn't ask to be in this situation. And they both said, she said, I have no bad blood with you. I have nothing against you. It's him I have the issue with. And, you know, she says, I feel like I came into this with pure intentions, and basically that she didn't think that Chris did. And so, of course, of everything she said, this is what now is so interesting what he gets offended by. He's offended because she says that he didn't come in with pure intentions. And, you know, he says, you know, I just want to let you know I wasn't leading you on or playing you. And we know that's exactly what he was doing. But, you know, Paige, like he says, you know, Paige is in there firing shots. She's saying my intentions weren't pure and this and that. At some point, she needed to fire some shots. I mean, finally, I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did it in front of both of you guys, because she is taking her power back and she's finally standing up. And I was finally like, okay, I'm proud of you. This is a Paige we were looking for. This is a Paige I knew was in there, but she was trying to hide it for so long to be the perfect wife. But this needed to be said a few episodes ago, right? So, you know, what'd she say? What did he say? He can't. he said, was that, I have this quote. I don't remember if he said that. He said he wasn't able to eat. He couldn't read the Bible. He couldn't watch the game because he was so upset or something like that. Okay, I got to get back to that. But then he also said, you know, she's being rude. I never mistreated her and everything. And Mercedes actually jumps in at this point and defends Paige. She's like, she's not being rude. Paige wasn't being rude at all. She was just expressing herself. It's interesting how he can express himself and he can cry all over the place and this and this and that. But when Paige expresses herself as eloquently as she did, she's seen as being rude. She wasn't being rude at all. She didn't even have a tone. She was just saying what it was, right? But he feels disrespected, of course, because Paige is now speaking up. She is not the person that she's been, his little silly putty that he's been, silly putty that he's been like throwing around, right? Now she's actually standing up for herself. So he can't take this, right? Because now Mercedes has made it clear, you know, I don't know what he's told you, but I'm not trying to get back with him, right? And now it's kind of like her and Paige have banded together, which was not his intention. So he, at this point, remember, he can't take the heat. Again, nobody can tell him about himself. He has to be right. He has to be the center of attention. What he wanted, he walks out, right? And Paige says at some point in this conversation, before he walked out, you know, she said this conversation, okay, one point she was talking to Mercedes, and then he jumps in and says, basically, you know, he doesn't like to be talked about in front of his face. If you have something to say, you can say it to me. And she said, I don't have anything to say to you. I'm talking to her. I'm like, yes, go Paige, right? So then he walks out. He walks out, number one, because he cannot control the situation. Number two, he wanted to see a cat fight. And we know this because afterwards he said, I walked out because this conversation was not productive. I didn't get out of it. Nothing. I got nothing productive out of it. It didn't go the way he wanted to go. Whatever it was, he said, right? Paraphrasing. What did you expect to come out of this conversation? What was the expectation? Because the conversation didn't need to happen. So you set up a conversation, and I think the way he wanted it to go, he wanted them to scrap and have a fight over him. You know, I want him. No, I want him. And what happened was both of the girls were like, I really don't want him. Both of them were like, I'm over him and his shenanigans. And he couldn't take that. He couldn't take the heat again. So he walked out like a little baby. He is a little immature baby. And, you know, hopefully that's all we see of Chris, right? But I like that Paige says, this relationship no longer serves me. I'm over it, right? So now at the end, you see Mercedes is kind of calm, and Paige, and they're cool with each other, you know? And then you can see by the way that they're both kind of like, yeah, of course he's going to walk out. Yeah. You know, at one point he said, you know, I'm irritated. Mercedes like, you're always irritated. So they are both very used to his behavior. And at one point, I think Paige was like, yeah, he does this. He can't really take it. You know, he gets irritated when things are not going his way. So it's like now, even with Paige, her limited amount of time with him, she knows his behavior. Mercedes knows his behavior. It seems like they're both over it. Like, this is very, you know, the package, like he always talks about, the resume seems nice, you know. I guess people find him good looking. He dresses nice, whatever. He supposedly has his big business. But when you get inside, when you open up that package, pull the bows, you're like, okay, wait a minute. All you gave me was an empty cardboard box. This ain't cute. It's nothing here. It's shallow. I have to deal with somebody who acts like a 5-year-old when confrontation arises, when he doesn't get his way, when he feels like he's being seen as wrong. You know, and his perception of what is happening is really skewed. So I'm hoping this is the last we see of him. We see him next week, but hopefully this is the last of all his big shenanigans so we can get back to the rest of the couples. But this was a good episode, and it was a good conversation, the way it happened, I love the way they both sat there. They didn't get upset at each other. Nobody was rude or disrespectful. They spoke with class. They articulated themselves well. Of course they did. I'm not saying it as if it's a anomaly that they articulated themselves well, but sometimes when we get upset, and that's all people, sometimes, you know, we just kind of start spewing out what our, you know, spewing out what's in the heart, not what's in the head. And I'm glad that they got through a coherent conversation and were able to both look at it and say, listen, we don't need to deal with him anymore, right? This is the problem. He's got to go. So hopefully he will see this and learn, you know, I need to start to sit with a therapist and start to deal with some of these issues that I'm avoiding, right? Either way, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will, I'll see you next week, okay? Well, I'm going to make a different video about the rest of the couples, okay? That'll be tomorrow. Hope to see you soon. Reality with T. Bye-bye.